Back to our election coverage. With us this morning in Studio A is Harris County Democratic Party Chair Mike Doyle and Harris County Republican Party Chair Cindy Siegel. Good morning to you both. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. I know it was a late night, so we appreciate your time this morning. I want to start the conversation off by talking about the presidential race. Donald Trump, president-elect, only the second president to win non-consecutive terms. Right now, he's won the electoral vote. He's leading the popular vote. He will be the only Republican president to win that popular vote since George W. Bush back in the early 2000s. Talk to us about the role Harris County played in his election, his race.
Well, the fact is, if you go back to 2020, you'll see that he lost the county by 13 points. And this time he moved the needle here. I think it's the last, well, not all the votes are in, but it's about 5-point difference.
Which is significant.
And that's, you know, we're the third largest county in the country. And, you know, Mike, you've said it, it's purple. And it played a big part. You know, those are a lot of votes, and we saw it at the polls that a lot of people were coming out to vote for him.
Mike, listening to Cindy, those 5 points, is this concerning?
Well, I mean, it's always concerning when we have a Republican elected president, particularly Donald Trump. But in Harris County, at least so far, and there are still some votes outstanding, that's about 16,000 different. He had about 700,000 votes in 20 and about 716,000 in Harris County at this point.
And at this point, he could sweep all battleground states, leading in most of them at this hour. Going into today, regardless of the outcome, we knew the divide was going to remain in place. Is President-elect Donald Trump the person to bridge that divide?
Well, I hope so. I mean, I think he's made a big difference, you know, in terms of he's gone out and met with people from all walks of life. And I think that's his message. And hopefully we can all move beyond it. You know, today we're all Americans versus what party, and we need to move the country forward.
During his speech last night, he talked about that. He talked about uniting the country, putting the country first, fighting for every citizen, and building that bridge, defeating that divide. Mike, your thoughts on this, and where do Dems go from here?
Well, you know, I took an oath of office, and even back years ago as a lawyer, that, you know, you uphold the Constitution and elections count, and you got to respect them. But I also know that when Liz Cheney was talking about public servants, basically everybody in this democracy being the guardrails to protect democracy, I think that's an important task that we all have right now, starting today. We're
anticipating to hear from Vice President Kamala Harris today. What do you anticipate she will say to the country?
You know, I mean, I think she'll carry herself as the you know, dedicated public servant that, look, we have an election, that we got to respect it. That doesn't mean that we don't do our job as citizens to protect our democracy, because it belongs to all of us. And I expect that she'll say something similar to that.
I was listening to a few different radio stations on the way in this morning, dominating headlines with Trump defeat, tariffs. They talked a lot about tariffs and the role tariffs will play in the next 4 years. They also mentioned he dominated with Latino voters. Harris really underperformed in that area. And she was also, they drew attention to the fact that she was carrying baggage from the Biden administration, that her campaign was only 100 some odd days long. Your thoughts on just summing this presidential race up this morning?
Well, I wasn't sure. You know, I was very hopeful going into it, and I felt like a lot of, nationally, a lot of people and pollsters were misreading it. They all said, you know, they would say, well, we're not sure, it looks this way, but, you know, the polls just made me crazy. You know, I think that he's going to be very strategic in terms of what he wants to accomplish, and I think that he knows, and we talked about it the last time we were here, economy, the border, crime.
Mike?
Yeah, I mean, looking at it, I mean, you know, Obviously, it was a big challenge because of the timing, but I will just say, on the ground, there was such tremendous enthusiasm, and I don't want to take away, this is a very close election. I mean, there's a winner and there's a loser, but this was, including across the nation, a lot of these battleground states, it was very close.
Very close indeed. Switching gears now to the Senate race here in Texas. U.S. Senator Ted Cruz wins re-election with 53% of the vote. He did not carry Harris County. Any surprises here?
Not for me. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, we had a lot of folks working very hard for our candidates, and I think it made a difference at the near top of the ballot.
What does this mean for Harris County moving forward? We talked about the county being a purple space. What does this mean moving forward?
Well, I think in looking at the numbers, you know, that have come in, we're still 15 polls, or at least when we walked in here, 15 polls hadn't been, their results haven't been posted. But, you know, we came so close, and the margins are so tight on, you know, every race, really. And I think what you see in the country between Donald Trump and Harris, how close it was, we saw it in Harris County too.
Yeah, I mean, I think in Harris County, when you look at the top of the ballot, so to speak, with our county attorney, our district attorney, obviously we still have some votes to count, but I think that our voters trust those folks to kind of take those positions. That being said, I also recognize that there's a likelihood that we're going to lose some tremendous public servants, and there was, you know, 20 to 30 million spent this cycle and last cycle attacking our judges doing their job, and obviously that's a reality, that money, which came from outside this county, is, you know, from my perspective, fooling people what happens, and it had an effect, but that's a task we've got to face.
Yeah.
But we know countywide that actually running things, the voters have consistently kind of respected the Democrats doing that.
Yeah, still votes to count in races to call, some wins, some defeats across the board on both sides. The district attorney's race close. Sean Tier leading the way. County attorney is still too close to call at this point. Christian Menifee and Jacqueline Lucci Smith, both with 50% of the vote. And then, of course, Sheriff Ed Gonzalez declaring victory over Mike Knox last night. You can find a full list of all of these races on our website. Just summing up this conversation, both leaders here in this county, we thank you for your service. Your hopes moving forward in these coming days, weeks, months, and years?
Well, from the Republican Party standpoint, we showed last night that we're competitive. And the fact is, it looks like our 10 candidates for Court of Appeals are going to take it. And additionally, we've got approximately 10 judges that are going to take it. And I would differ with Mike on that. I think people were very clear that they're not happy with the backlog, they're not happy with crime, and that was reflected when they were voting for the judges. And even those that there's some that are, I mean, it's just marginally the difference, even if they're not winning. And I think, you know, Harris County is still in play.
Mike?
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of work to do. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I know as just what I do and the folks that are helping run this county, they're going to do their job and they're going to protect our citizens. And from a Democratic Party standpoint, we certainly have a lot of hard work to do, but I've always known that's part of the job.
Yeah, part of the job indeed. Mike and Cindy, thank you both for coming in. We really do appreciate your time and being able to have these conversations. Thank you.
Thank you.